So this lesson is a fourth grade lesson and it's printmaking, and the students will have seen art from famous artists where they have used wood blocks or linoleum blocks to make prints, and they'll have seen how that process works. Unfortunately, the linoleum blocks and things like that are a little bit too expensive to bring into the classroom for the students to try, and they're using pretty sharp tools if they have to do that. So in order to make this project more affordable and more safe for the students, you can use these scratch foam blocks or it's kind of, I guess you would call it a scratch foam printing plate, and they can make a print out of this. So what I like to have them do is I like to give them a piece of paper first and have them draw their design. So I've already drawn my design here, and then have them put their design on top of the block. And it's nice sometimes to even add a small piece of tape to help them hold it still. And then what they're gonna do is, I actually recommend using a pen. A pencil works fine too, but a pen is nice. And they're gonna press firmly and retrace over their design that they have already drawn with paper. And I like to have them draw first on paper, because once they're doing the process where they're transferring it onto the foam printing plate, they can't mess up because you can't erase once you started to indent the design onto the printing plate. So just have them carefully trace their design onto, I guess they're just tracing on top of their paper, and it's going to transfer onto the printing plate. Just remind them not to do words. Words aren't going to work because the printing plate reverses their image. So if they do words, they're going to be totally backwards. So I like to just say no words, rather than have them try to figure that out and not be successful. So I'm just going to continue tracing my design onto my printing plate. So once they've traced everything, they can remove the paper and they'll see their design on the printing plate. And it does not hurt for them to then go over their design one more time with a pen and further indent that in and really get a nice, this will help them to get a really nice print if they really get a good firm indent. This is why I like to use the pen as well, is if they use a pencil and the pencil's really sharp, it will tear through the foam. So the pen has a rounder point and doesn't tend to do that as much. So if they've pushed firmly enough, they should be able to see everywhere that they have drawn. And they may have to look at they may not be able to see all the lines really well, but if they keep their drawing nearby, they'll be able to see where. So now I've transferred my design onto the printing plate, and it is up to you if you want to give them a particular subject or topic to do their printing plate. Sometimes they struggle with total wide open creativity. So you're welcome to say, we're going to do an animal, buildings, flowers, plants, whatever you want to do. It's up to you and how you think your class will do with it. So now that this is done, they now will do their printing. So I like to set up stations in the class rather than giving every student the supplies. That's a lot of work and there's a lot of stuff to clean. So I will set up maybe like 6 stations somewhere in the classroom, like tables or counters, wherever you can find space. And you're gonna set up a station that has a template like this. you're gonna have some sort of tray or plate or whatever you wanna use to have them pick up the ink with the brayer. I like to use just like an inexpensive cookie sheet. You can use a paper plate. Sometimes there's not enough room to get like good coverage of ink, but just something like this, an inexpensive tray works great. Really anything flat. And then I'll often put the ink on a plate like this, so they'll pick up a little bit of ink and then roll it onto the tray like this. And by rolling it on that flat surface, they get nice even coverage on the brayer. So that's how I set it up. You can set up stations with different colors, or you could just set up just black or just blue. It's up to you and the materials that you have. So what they're gonna do is their first step, and this will be more spread out for them as I kind of set it up. So like, here's a spot to roll the ink on, and then they move over here to transfer onto paper. So I'm just kind of showing you kind of in this small window of space that I have that you can see. And they're gonna roll the ink onto their printing plate. And it's also a good idea to put some large pieces of construction paper or something so that the ink doesn't get all over the tables and whatever surfaces you're on. I'm just at this old table that it doesn't matter if it gets dirty. So they're gonna roll the ink on, and they wanna get nice, even coverage. And then after they did that, they would move to where this template is, and they set their foam plate right there in the center, and it even tells them what to do. So it says step 1, after applying ink, place foam printing plate here, ink side up, that's really important. And then they're gonna get sheets of construction paper, and I like you want it to be light-ish colors. You don't wanna be going to, like blacks or dark blues, not gonna transfer well. And these are just 9x12 construction paper cut in half. And then what they do is they line the edges of the paper up just the best they can with that, and then press down. And I press down a little bit with their hand just to kind of secure it down. And then they're gonna use a clean brayer. So this is a brayer that's not had ink on it, and they just roll all over and I'd have them go all the way to the edges of the construction paper. And it's good to hold it in place. If the paper moves, their image will be smudged, but usually the ink kind of holds the paper onto the printing plate once they've pressed it a little bit. So after they feel like they've rolled it well, they just pull the printing plate apart from the paper, and then they have their print. So they can do this a couple times. I like to have them do it at least twice. I like to have them do it on 2 different colors of paper because it gives it a totally different look. If they feel like their print didn't go well, they can always wipe this clean just with, they could even run it under some water or wipe it clean with a wet paper towel, and they could go back with their pen and maybe create some more lines where they feel like they need it. But I like to let them do it at least twice. So again, if they're doing it again, have them roll it again with ink. If you don't roll it again with ink, it will work. It'll just create a lighter print. So just roll it again with ink. Like that. They would move to where the template is. And then make their next print. I would also recommend, if you can on this project, if you can have some extra parents in to help you, this is a good one because this is a really new technique for them. This is not something that they've done before, so they are going to need some guidance. So it is nice if you have a few extra parents to run, if you have a parent to run each station where you have it set up, it is really helpful until they grasp how the technique works. So then I'm just going to pull off my second print. And so now I have my 2 prints, and I like to just have them mount these 2 prints onto a black large piece of paper or a different color, and they can kind of see the difference in how it looks. You could use multiple colors of ink and have them do their plate again in a different color of ink. It's a little bit more work because they have to clean off their plate between. But it's up to you and what supplies are available to you in how you want to do this project. But this is the easiest way to do the printmaking and most inexpensive way. I did want to show you quickly the ink that I used. So I used this Blick block printing ink. It comes in a lot of colors and it does clean up really well. It's water soluble. So this comes in a lot of colors. I haven't tried it, but I've also heard you can use tempera paint, but you might want to experiment with that first. Really, for the best quality product, you would use a printing ink. I think in my art closet before, it's had screen printing ink, and that worked fine as well. But this is what will give you the best finished product. So if you want to have them do it in multiple colors, or if they decided they wanted to go back and kind of fix some lines, I just took this printing plate that I just used for the blue ink and I just ran it underwater and the ink came right off. So it isn't too bad of a process if you want to allow them to do it in more than one color. So maybe if your stations had multiple colors and they could try multiple colors, they literally just hold this under the water and the ink really just comes off and then they dry it with a paper towel. So I just wanted to show you that it's not too bad of a process if you wanted to allow them to do it in more than one color.